to say that somebody else couldn't have done it too, but I had my individual mark on it. And that's, like you said, same with film and TV as I hit the mic. Same with film and TV. You have to let the story get metabolized through you and not be afraid of that. Not be like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it like, do I sound like, January Lavoie or Helen Laser? No, because they're their own people. You sound like you. And that's the special sauce.
Welcome to Gift Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hey, everyone. This is Gift Scene Unscripted, and I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. Thank you so much for being here. It is going to be a fantastic episode because we're going to talk about how you can make some extra money as an actor. And I think it's so important that we do things to not just build our craft, build our network, but also build our bank accounts. So I'm excited for today's episode. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, we look on the back end of things. It's so crazy. It's like over half the viewership is not subscribed. What the heck is going on? So hit that subscribe button as you are watching or listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can certainly leave us comments along the way. And if you're listening, thanks so much for letting us be on your journey in the car, while you're cooking, whatever you're doing. So let's dive in. We have an awesome actress in the house who also really specializes when it comes to VO, audiobook style stuff. So Miss Hallie Ricardo,
Hello,
what's up?
Jesse Malinowski. How are you?
I'm very good. Great to have you here. And again, like I just kind of said, I'm really excited about this episode because I'm always trying to figure out more ways for us as actors to kind of like be an entrepreneur in a sense. Yeah. And I think, being an entrepreneur is like, how can I have additional revenue streams?
Yeah.
And so this is something that I just imagine has been so fantastic for you and your journey.
Yeah, and it came about at a time where I was, back in the industry here in Atlanta. I'd been in LA and New York, and I came back here and I was teaching, but I knew that it's not going to be enough. And so I sort of dove into this profession that I didn't really know anything about, but I was like, let's just give this a shot. And then it's blossomed into this beautiful career that everyone's like, well, how did you get into it? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I backed into it.
I feel like so often when you find something great, it's like at a time that you weren't necessarily ready. You just said yes. You were just like, okay, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
I'll go for it. And you don't have it quite figured all. You don't have it all figured out just yet. And you kind of figure it out along the way.
I just, and that's a big part of like the hustle culture for us actors. You just go, well, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And you figure it out. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, I literally submitted an audition tape using the microphone on my computer, which I don't recommend.
Yeah, I'm like, you must think about that, be horrified now.
Mm-hmm. And I was literally just reading out of a book that I'd found at my house. I chose a YA novel because I felt like my voice suited that genre. And I submitted it and didn't think anything of it. And then when they contacted me and they were like, hey, we want you to come in and do a real audition. I was like, you sure? And then that went great. And then it just spiraled from there.
And so at this point now you have over 110 titles.
Yeah.
Right? Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hitting a triple digit number is pretty badass.
I'm really proud of that number.
Should be. Should be.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, on to the next 100.
Yeah, exactly. Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I know that you said you kind of fell into it, but what are some key factors that you've learned, over the last decade or so in doing it that maybe you wish you knew sooner that would have helped you as a VO artist?
Yeah, I would say that's a great question. I wish I had known, well, like I said, I wish I had known about quality of your equipment. When you first start, because that makes all the difference. The type of microphone that you have makes all the difference. So starting out with a setup that is going to represent you well is very important. I think also the main thing was not trying to be like other narrators, right? When I first started in this industry, I didn't really listen to audiobooks. And I developed my own style. And I listen to other audiobook narrators and I'm like, God, I don't sound like any of these people. And that's a good thing. You need to develop a niche. You need to be confident in your ability and the way that you interpret a story, because that's what's going to set you apart from the so many other people who are also trying to attempt this career.
Yeah, a couple things there. I want to get into the technical side of it because I'm a big technical fan with self-taping and all that stuff too. So I want to get to that in a second. But you mentioned kind of having your own style. We've done some different VO workshops in the past, bringing in some people, and we've done some audiobook workshops. And it does seem like it's a similar note where in acting, it's like you need to bring yourself. That's the superpower. It's like that's the exact same thing with VO as well.
100%. Bring yourself. That is your superpower for sure. When they hire me, Hallie Ricardo, they're hiring me for stuff that they have heard before that they liked, something that sparked something in them, right? The best feedback that I can get is from an author who will message me and be like, that is exactly how I heard the story in my head, right? And I was able to deliver that because of my own style that I've created and my own voice. Not to say that somebody else couldn't have done it too, but I had my individual mark on it. And that's, like you said, same with film and TV as I hit the mic. Same with film and TV. You have to let the story get metabolized through you and not be afraid of that. Not be like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it like, do I sound like, January Lavoie or Helen Laser? No, because they're their own people. You sound like you. And that's the special sauce.
What would you say? This question is for me, to be honest. So it might be a tough one. How then do you distinguish if you're doing a good job? If I show up to an audition piece and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to bring me much as I can. If I'm not then comparing it, right? So like maybe what I've heard on the radio or something like that, how do I distinguish if it's good or not?
I always listen back, right? I'll record it, I'll listen back, and I'll go, this isn't getting the story across, right? I'm either disconnected from the material or I'm just reading it sort of rote. And you have to be able to critique yourself and give yourself notes and be willing to re-record and try it again. But in terms of doing it, there's no way to do it right or wrong. It's interpretive, it's creative. So you might interpret it a certain way and they thought it was something different, but that's what we as actors go through all the time, where we submit an audition and we go, I think this is what you want. But sometimes the casting director's like, no, we actually had this in mind. Or they go, oh my God, we love that. We didn't even think about it being interpreted like that. So it just depends.
So I really just need to like up my confidence. I just need to be more confident in like the work that I'm doing when it comes to VO stuff.
Just go at it like, I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
That will make such a huge difference if you change into that mindset instead of being like, I hope this is what they want. This is what I'm showing you. I'm peddling my wares. Here they are. Do you like them? No. Okay. On to the next one.
Right.
Instead of trying to please everybody, because that's when you like mess up your brain.
Yeah, that's such a good note. And I mean, and it's like, I know that it takes actors a little bit longer even to get that film and TV wise, but it's like, I feel like personally, actually, I'm still learning that, which is weird because it's a lesson I already know, but it's applied to something else. So like, I'm still having a harder time implementing it.
Yeah.
Because when I get a VO audition, I'm always like, maybe I want to do it. Maybe I don't want to do it because I just don't have the same confidence that I do with a film and TV audition.
Yeah. And it comes back down to don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're going to do this is such a tough industry. You might as well have fun.
You better have fun.
Have some fun and do it the way that you interpret it. Trust your instincts, trust your training. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. On to the next one. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but the sooner that you can embrace that, you'll be I'm so much more happy as an artist and as a working artist.
Hey, if you are a parent of a young rising star, then listen up. We have what we call our Rising Star program, and this program is so simple but so effective. it really follows something I created that I call my triangle of success. And what this does is no matter what actor is trying to move forward in their journey, I believe if you follow the triangle of success, you'll be able to do it. And it's following three simple things: understanding that this is a business, and then improving your auditions, and then improving your connections. And so that's what we do every single month. It's super simple. You get 2 online workshops because the whole program is online, because that's where the business is now. And so you get 2 workshops every single month. One focuses on auditioning, commercial or theatrical, because those are the auditions that you're going to be getting that will eventually make you money when you book them. Theatrical and live Zoom. And so you work on a specific type of audition every single month. And then the next workshop, we bring in an industry pro. Not to mention, there's Q&As with every single industry pro where we can focus on that business. So you see that triangle of success where it's auditions, business, and then connections. When you follow that formula, you will undoubtedly move forward faster in your journey. So I want to hook you up right now. Head to the description in the bio right now, and you will see a discount code for $19 for your first month. That's less than $10 a workshop. So go ahead and try out the first month for only $19, and we'll see you in our Rising Star program. I love that, and that's so important. And I'm glad that you brought that up, the happiness in being an artist, because I think we can sometimes just get on this train of do, and it's like you got into this because it was fun and it energized you and it was fulfilling. And it's sometimes I think a lot of us, probably all of us at some point or another, get to a point where, or get to a place where we've missed that, we've lost that. And it's so important that we focus on it to bring it back.
Yeah, it becomes a chore. So when it starts to feel that way, that's when I sort of hit that reset button and go, all right, you know what? I'm just going to have fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this my way, and they're either going to love it or they won't. And that's okay. But yeah, I understand. I go back and forth on my ability to do that. So
So you brought up the technical side of things. So can you give me maybe 2 examples? An example of if I wanted to get into this, I want to do maybe not my phone, or can I just use my phone? I don't know. You tell me. Can you give me a really nice version? You're you know what? I got the money. I'm going to invest this shit.
Yeah.
And then I want to do it, but I don't really have the money. Can you give me 2 different setups that are adequate, right? Because sure, I could just do it on my iPhone, but do I actually have a shot at getting it?
Right. So the answer to the iPhone question is no.
Okay.
Yeah. Just lay it out. Because there is such an easy bar for accessing good equipment these days, you literally just have to go on Amazon and you can buy anything that you need to have a podcast, to record yourself singing, whatever. So the competition is going to eat your lunch if you're not stepping up your game in terms of your setup. So I suggest if you're going to start out small, right? You can get a $100 mic on Amazon, right? And I know that's a lot of money, but it's an investment and you can write it off.
But one job,
right?
It's back. So I don't even think it's a lot of money, honestly. It's
yeah.
And anyone can save $20 a week, and in a month, you've got the microphone.
And what you're looking for is not a USB mic, right? A mic that plugs directly into your computer. You're looking for...
That was the first microphone I bought when I tried to do VO, so I was off to a bad start. Glad you're here.
It's okay. We've all made that mistake. The compressor mics are just going to have a lot clearer, crisper audio. You can really hear the difference if you play one side by side with I don't want to speak poorly about a certain brand, but one that just is going to plug right into your computer. There is a difference. So what you would need to do is buy a condenser mic, and like I said, I saw one yesterday on Amazon for $100. And then you need an audio interface, which is also can be bought for less than $100. And that's what's going to plug into your computer, and then you plug the mic into the audio interface.
The compressor is kind of like a mixer. Right?
Exactly. So yeah, it's got all the stuff in it that you need to go from what is it called? It's analog to digital. So it seems like a lot. It seems complicated. It's really not. So if you have those 2 things, and then you get a good set of headphones, and then you can get editing software. There's free editing software out there. Audacity, GarageBand. If you want to level up your game, you can do something like Pro Tools, you can do something like Adobe Audition, right? And then you need to learn how to use that software in terms of recording auditions and things like that. If you really want to splurge and like spend $1,000 on a mic, you can get a Neumann, which is like, whenever I have recorded on a Neumann, I'm like, oh God, how do I slip this into my purse? It's just delicious when you hear your voice on a perfect microphone. You're just like, I didn't know I could sound that way. But you don't have to have that to get started. Trust me. I bought a used Audio-Technica mic on eBay when I first started, and I'm still using that today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's awesome.
So I love that you brought up what was it called again? Essentially this thing.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like
the audio interface.
The interface, yeah. So the interface, I never knew that. And I'm like, and that's such a great, I feel like I know it's kind of, essentially, if you want like a crazy layman term, it's like, let's do a self-tape, but like you don't have the lights. Like you have to have the lights.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not going to be as good. And so I love you bringing that up because I didn't know that. And when actors are asking me, I don't normally bring that up. I'm like, oh, you can go get a cheap. I know you can get a cheaper mic. So like, go find one. I'm not super educated, but like that's another thing that we got to add to the package.
Well, and you literally can't get it you can't get it to interface with your computer. I mean, that's literally what it is. You have to plug the mic into the interface and then plug the interface into your computer to get your sound into a digital file.
Right.
Right. So you can't do it without one. But there are really cheap ones. Scarlett has Focusrite Scarlett Solo. It's a little red box.
I have that. I've never used it,
Yeah.
but I have it.
Yeah.
Because I did find out I needed to do this, but then I did the studio.
Don't buy one like there are so many used pieces of technology online. You can get them so cheap. And yeah, like I said, I bought most of my stuff on eBay when I first started because that's where you bought it. It wasn't like, this was 10 years ago. So it wasn't as available on Amazon. But yeah, you can find this stuff and make a small investment, write it all off. And like I said, I'm still using mine 9-10 years later. So
wow, incredible. And so then, all right, so now we have the setup. And then, oh wait, actually, one other question when it comes to setup. What about shout out to DJ Sturdivant right now? But my buddy DJ, who's gone through the mentorship and everything, he wanted to get more into VO, and he bought one of those like booths that like fold up. So like, how important is that? Or like, do you get in your closet? Do you put a blanket over you? Do you go in your car? Like, what is kind of the best way when it comes to the noise around you?
Yeah. So you're never going to be able to get a soundproof area unless you are buying yourself a whisper booth, something like that. And those can range anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. So it's a big investment. What you can do instead is find yourself an interior closet of wherever you live and, make sure that there's sound panels or a lot of clothes. Basically, you want to make sure that there's no hard edges in the room. Everything is dampened, right? So you can sound dampen a room pretty easily. But you also have to be aware of things like the AC running, right? Water running through the pipes, the guy outside who's mowing his lawn for 2 hours. So there are things you have to take into consideration and sort of time when you're going to record. And so it can get a little complicated when you don't have like an actual booth to go into, but most people don't have booths because they are a huge investment. But if you have the means, yeah, I mean, it's a luxury for sure.
I would recommend everyone, I'm not the VO guy. However, I did by accident. I was doing a voice memo and I was like, I started in my bedroom and then walked into my bathroom, into my closet. And then I listened to the voice memo back, but this was like just to somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't even mean to do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, when I got in the closet, it's a completely different like sound.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I would go in a closet doing a voiceover audition, I'm like, I don't even think it sounds different. So like I would, if you guys are, I would do the test where you start like start it and then end it in the closet and you'll hear really how important that is because it sounds night and day.
Your ear will start to be trained for it, honestly. And I can hear the difference. I've done auditions before where like I was in a rush and stuff and I literally had a blanket over my head and I could hear the difference between that and when it wasn't. And I was still in my closet and it was sound dampened and everything. I would just like to say I'm a professional audiobook narrator, but my setup is not very professional.
You do what you got to do, but
do as I say, not as I do. But you do what you have to do. You really you just kind of make it work. Actors are scrappy, so we just make it work
yeah.
the way we can.
I mean, I don't like scoff at that at all. I mean, when you're on the road, when you're, like a self-tape comes in, like you figure it out. You put the blanket up on the wall or you do whatever you got to do. And it's like same thing. In this case, blanket over the head.
Yeah. If it's like a last minute audition and, you just got to get something in. Now, if it's like a full production audiobook, I'm not going to do that, obviously. I'm not going to hold a blanket over my head for 10 hours. I'll go into a studio, I'll pay an engineer, whatever. But for auditions and like smaller projects, little 30-second things for, a VO clip or something like that, it's perfectly acceptable and it sounds great. That's all that matters at the end. It sounds great.
Exactly. So what about getting the job? So like we've kind of done the setup now. I've heard some mixed things. So like Voices 1, 2, 3 is like an actor's access, essentially. I've heard with that, speed is really imperative to getting the job. How much truth is in that? Or I guess in anything, even an audition maybe for my agent, like getting it in really fast.
With audiobooks, that's interesting. They give you a deadline for sure, but I have never felt like getting it in faster, getting the audition in faster makes a difference.
Okay.
They're also choosing from a smaller pool. They're not going to be casting a wide net. They're going to be asking 5 people to audition.
Oh, wow.
Because it's all done very internally. Most agents are not submitting you for audiobooks. And most audiobook sort of casting databases are going to request people, but it's not going to be a big haul of people. So it's a little more like if they say it's due on this date, you have the luxury of waiting, if you need to, until the last minute. But, never recommend doing that, obviously. But no, it's not about getting it in the fastest. They really want quality.
For these audiobooks, you say it's kind of an inside job almost. How do you get inside? How do you get the invitation if the invitations are so small?
Yeah, it's all about your past work and connections. So all of my audiobook work has been done through connections I've made over the past 10 years, whether it's with producers, publishers, just people in the industry who I've connected with via, LinkedIn is people don't realize this, but LinkedIn is a great way to connect, especially in the audiobook industry, because you're connecting with producers and publishers and things like that. And they use that platform. So I've reached out to people before and just been like, hey, this is who I am. Send them your demo, send them the link to your website, things like that. You kind of just have to be like, okay, putting yourself out there. But I've been fortunate enough to be working with a core group of people in Atlanta over the past 10 years that have really helped me make connections in the industry. And then just, me buckling down and, being that person in the digital space being like, hi, how are you? I'm Hallie. I'm an audiobook narrator. Do you want to hear my stuff? And just kind of being that person.
And as you're kind of talking about that, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you bring up like LinkedIn, I immediately kind of, and I don't know if like you do this or recommend this, or this is a brand new idea. I have no idea, but I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I feel like you could look on LinkedIn. If it said Jesse Malinowski and in my bio it said best-selling author, you could then just go to Amazon, look my book up, see if there is an audio version of it. And if there's not, like, hey, I saw that you're an author. You don't, you're leaving money on the table, missing out on audiobook sales. I'm an audiobook author.
Yeah. So basically, the people that you want to contact in this industry who are going to give you the opportunities are the producers. Right? They are the ones at either a production company or at the publishing company, the audio arm of the production company, of the publishing company rather itself. They're the ones casting these books, right? The author's publisher is the one who is either farming this out to a producer. Usually that's what they do because the publishing companies are big and too busy. So rarely does the author get a ton of input. In the beginning stages, they will present the author with 5 potential auditions, right, of people who have read excerpts from the book, and the author will go, "Oh, I want that person." Sometimes they don't even ask the author; they just pick somebody that fits the description that the author had put out there for what they wanted, and they'll just pick somebody in their roster based on their voice and their past work and things like that. At the beginning of my career, I was just given books. They were just like, here, you're doing this one. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more competitive. You're definitely, I mean, I'll be auditioning for a book and then I'll see who got it. And it's like a celebrity narrator. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, why did I even do this? But they want to give them choices, So, but then when you do book one, you're like, I'm awesome.
When you do get it as well, it works out to be you're paid on finished hours,
Yeah.
right? So, and how long does it take you to actually maybe? So if I'm listening to a book and I listen for an hour, right? That's a finished hour. How long is that maybe taking you or taking the average audiobook author to do that?
Yeah, so average, we always say is 2 to 1, right? So if it's a 10-hour book based on the word count, it's going to probably take you 20 hours in studio. And I say in studio because that's just the studio time. That's not taking into consideration prep time, prep and research, right? So you've got prep and research of the manuscript that you do on your own. And then you get into the studio, and I do 4 hours a day. That's as much as I can kind of do in a single session. So I'll spread that out over 5 days. And I'll take a couple bathroom breaks. I'll take 20 minutes for lunch. So for about 20 hours worth of studio time, you'll get a 10-hour book. And if your per finished hour rate is $230 per finished hour, you make $2,300. Now, you're a 1099, so you are also having to deal with taxes. If you are fronting the cost of the engineer, you've got to take that out. But so there are expenses as well. You're not just making like a net $2,300.
Yeah.
You have to take that into consideration.
What do some of those expenses look like? Like what is, if I was just starting out and I wanted to do it, what would be like a beginner rate where I'm getting paid a good amount of money, but like not laughable? And then like, what have you seen it kind of go up to?
Well, it's
because you're making your own rates.
Well, it's regulated by SAG now.
Oh,
SAG-AFTRA regulates the audiobook industry. So we have established rates that have been negotiated with producers and publishers. Now, it's not like with SAG where you have scale, right? Where no matter what studio you are doing a job for, if it is at this budget, you are making this scale, right? There are so many different contracts with audiobooks, depending on who's producing it, who the publisher is, if they're using a paymaster, so many different things. But if you're doing a union book, you have a minimum that they must pay you. And if you're an experienced narrator, then you can say, but actually my rate is this. But yeah, and it's, since we're in Georgia and it's a right to work state, non-union people can audition for union projects. There are non-union audiobook projects as well, but I'm a proud union member and I don't recommend it only because of they don't offer the protections, especially in an age of AI. You don't get the same protections on your work.
Oh yeah, wow. I hadn't thought of that where if you did a non-union book, let's say, they're going to have, 10 hours of my voice and then they could just change it to whatever they want, as many edits or whatever as they kind of want. They could just change it with AI.
They can do whatever they want with it. And they can use it to teach AI. They can license it to companies, so doing a union project, not only are you getting, a certain rate and you're getting pension and health contributions, you're getting it works towards your qualifying for health insurance, but you're getting those protections. And if there's ever an issue, we have some amazing leaders who are on the audiobook steering committee who will go to the mat for their actors and have continuously, year after year, gotten us better contracts, more money, and are really fighting the good fight about the AI thing. So
wow. And so then are there, you said that a lot of your jobs is connections. So that's even with union jobs? Like I'm like, oh, you happen to get to know a producer or something and they just luckily are doing a union job, or sometimes they're not. Are there other ways to get these union audiobook gigs?
So there are a couple places where platforms that you can upload your demo, create a profile, kind of like Actors Access,
Okay.
and Penguin Random House has one. It's called Ahab. Anyone can create a profile. Anyone can upload their demo. Anyone can submit to a project that fits them. ACX is another place that is, it's called the Audiobook Creation Exchange. It's a subsidiary of Amazon. And basically it cuts out the middleman so that the authors can directly hire the narrators.
But that could be non-union though, right?
It could be non-union, but if you are a union actor and you want to do stuff on ACX, you have to abide by the union rules about the contracts, and
Right.
they have a contract in place with ACX. I believe that it's I can't remember what exactly it is, but I think it's around $200 per finished hour plus pension and health
Cool.
contributions. So, but if you're non-union and you're just looking to start and get a couple titles under your belt, that is a great place to start. But you do need to know how to use editing software because you are going to be the one
Doing everything.
And make sure you're compensated, accordingly.
Yeah. I noticed you did not mention Voices 1, 2, 3.
I am not on Voices 1, 2, 3. I'm not a huge
Fan of them?
I'm not a huge fan. I've had very little experience with that platform, honestly. And most of the VO work that I've done has either come through, again, personal connections and then agency. But VO and audiobooks are kind of two different beasts. Like I said, most agents aren't going to submit you for audiobooks. The margins just aren't there for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting to me though, if you think about it, because I'm like, if you get the 10-hour book, $2,300, I'm like, that's better than a CoStar.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's creative. To me, it's totally worth it. Again, it's more than a CoStar, if you go by like the hourly, if you were to, take scale and divide it by an 8-hour day or whatever. And if you can get a couple of those a year, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at,
Definitely not. I mean, I agree because I'm like, yeah, you get a couple of those a year and, you've made an extra $5,000 or $8,000. And it's like when you're looking at your income for the entire year and you're like, I booked a couple jobs over here, I did some audiobooks over here. It's like all of a sudden it's an additional $20,000 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's like you said, there's definitely no reason, nothing to scoff at that. I mean,
no. And, there are people who that's all they do because they have, the setup for that and and that's just that is their niche. And they do very well.
Nice. So along the journey, I know that one of the main things that you said was that the technical side is something that you would have. What about when it comes to, I guess I'll call it the craft side of this, that you've also like learned that have been some like really solid lessons that have improved that skill for you?
Yeah. I think my main one is, girl, take your time. It's both a strength and a weakness, efficiency for me. So I used to be like, all right, because I'm being paid per finished hour, I want to do this as efficiently as possible so that it's not a 2-to-1 that I'm making more per finished hour.
Yeah,
basically.
totally.
And
I would be like that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of try to be as efficient as possible. Now I wouldn't take breaks. I would do like a 4-hour stretch and I'd just be like, nope, we're just going to barrel through, like my poor engineers. And then as I've gotten older, I take a lot more time because I want to have time with the material and I want to let it sink in for me a little more. I want to connect to it more. And it's really nice actually, in the past couple of years, a couple books that I've narrated, I've actually gotten emotional. It depends on the book, but there have been times where I'm like, ooh, this is really hitting me because I'm sitting with it and I'm being just more calm and gentle about it instead of it being like, this is a job that I have to get done. And just kind of being grateful that I get to do this type of soft, gentle work and enjoying the process for myself.
Yeah, I love that. And I think for some reason it was making me think of like the experience that the listener is going to have. And that's really what it is about, right? Is like you're providing this experience for them, this story for them.
You really become aware of their experience. And oh God, I listened to some of the stuff I did in my earlier days and I'm just like, what were you thinking? Like, oh my God, like crazy character voices and stuff and just unnecessary dialects. And now it's a lot more, it's a softer touch. And I really take into consideration like the audience and bringing them into the story.
What is that homework? Well, you mentioned kind of like the prep work.
Yeah.
So what does that look like and entail?
Yeah, it's just like getting a script. You get a manuscript and you read through it. You make notes of characters, of tone. You sit with like what's the overall story you're trying to tell. You find your personal connections to it. And then on a more technical side, you find how you're going to differentiate each of the characters in subtle ways, whether it's change in energy, a change in pace, pitching it higher or lower, small, subtle changes that the reader will be able to pick up on and say, oh, this person's talking now this person's talking. And then also doing like technical research in terms of pronunciation, making sure that you're pronouncing things correctly. If it's a fantasy book, consulting with the author, how do you pronounce the name of this world? How do you pronounce the name of this fairy kingdom? So making sure you know all that. And then you leave that behind. You leave the prep behind, and then you just go. And you let it come out of you. If you try to play the work, inevitably going to come off technical. But if you do the work, trust it, put it aside, and just let it go through you, you come up with something that, surprises you.
Great. Well, one more question before we get to our spotlight sign off, which is 5 questions to end strong. So I'm a big action guy. It's like
Okay.
let's implement, let's take action. Can you give me like 2 actions for our listeners? One action for the person that's like, yeah, I think I want to do this. What's the action item for them? And for the person that like maybe has been auditioning or kind of doing it, maybe got a gig or, here or there, maybe. And then what's an action item for them? So the like absolute beginner and then the like more experienced. So 2 separate action items for the listeners right now.
Yeah. So if you're like just thinking about diving into it, I would say, before you invest a lot of time and money, get some coaching. Take a couple classes. There are classes out there for John Marshall Media, who is in Atlanta. They're going to be doing a class this summer for new and amateur audiobook narrators. Find out if this is something that you actually want to do. Record yourself reading, right? Find a couple excerpts from books that you think your voice is suited for. Record yourself and listen. Listen to other audiobook narrators. Get a feel for what they do, right? Not that you have to copy them, but like there are people out there who are really good at their job. Listen to their samples on Audible. See what the common denominator is, right? Learn from other people, teach yourself. And then if you're like, oh, I have the bug, that's when you can start investing in your software and your hardware. And that's when you can start really getting the snowball rolling. And then if you've been doing it and you've been auditioning, I would say you just have to keep at it. It's a numbers game and start networking. Right? Get on LinkedIn, network with other people, make relationships, introduce yourself to producers. Get on those casting websites like ACX and Ahab. Just keep finding ways for people to find you and to hear you. Don't cut yourself off from that world.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the networking thing because I think it's something that we all know, but it does take effort, a lot more effort than it used to, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy to not do it. So it seems like such an easy thing to do.
And it's the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like I'm an introvert and networking has always been like, oh God, like here we go. But
yeah.
It doesn't have to be yucky. It can be
Totally.
genuine.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Oh man, I am so excited. And I tell you what, if you're enjoying the podcast, I know you're going to want to hear this. We have our 3-day virtual actor summit coming up. This event is a 3-day online immersive event, 3 full days that are focused on moving you forward, getting you inspired, giving you a game plan to reach those next set of goals that you so deeply want to achieve. I love the Virtual Actor Summit so much because I can make you this promise that this will be undoubtedly one of the best online actor events you will ever attend. We bring instructors in from around the country, some of the top industry pros. We put together different panels and online workshops that really get you outside of your comfort zone so you can truly grow. what's so fantastic about this event is because you're completely immersed, right? So you have to grow. And that's what we're all trying to do, right? Is grow in our actor journey and grow in who we are as people. And so I just want to urge you so much to go to the description right now. There's a little bit of a discount there for you and grab your ticket, okay? It's 3 full days. And I'll tell you, we already have one of the top casting directors in the Southeast in Feldstein, Paris, Chase and Tara already confirmed for this event. They've cast a bunch of different Marvel projects, Ozark, Stranger Things, the list goes on and on and on. So if you want to put yourself in a situation to really move your career forward, you have to take action. So take some action right now, head to the description, grab that discount code, and we'll see you at the Virtual Actor Summit. All right. Well, Hallie, 5 questions then strong. Number 1 is, what is something you're super grateful for today?
This is gonna sound so cheesy. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. This is really cool.
Yes.
This is I've been really looking forward to this. So, yeah.
Good. Well, I think it was wonderful. And I think, we have really, the podcast is meant to serve the community. And I really think this episode has just been so great at doing that and really helping. So I appreciate you being here with us.
Yeah.
Question 2 then is, I was deciding if I wanted to change it, but no, I don't think we'll change it. I wasn't sure if we should point it more toward narration or VO stuff, but what is a film, television show, or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh my God, that changed the trajectory of my life? God, that's a great question. Okay, Jaws.
Ooh, Jaws.
Jaws was one of those movies that I watched as a kid and I was like, wow. And to this day, it is my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Because I, even as a child, knew like, this is cinema. Like, I just loved it so much. And if it's on TV, I will stop what I'm doing and I will watch it. I own it on DVD. I don't even have a DVD player. So I'm going to go with Jaws.
I love that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. No one has said Jaws. So I love it. I love it. What is something in your daily routine you really cherish?
Going for walks. I got to be out in nature. Nature is my my sacred place. And
so it's not just like walks, it's like more like a hike. It's not like a walk on the road.
No, like I live in a very beautiful neighborhood, so even if I walk around my neighborhood, it's very lush. There's lots of
nature-y.
flora and fauna.
Nice.
But like I also like to go on like little mini hikes and stuff. But I have to be in touch with nature. If I can like watch a deer like munch on a leaf or like touch a tree, then I'm like, okay.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
that's great.
I love it. Yeah, I was gonna say, are you because I also like to go on a walk, but the way you're describing it, it seems a little bit different. So I'm like, do you try to like find I learned this from, I think it was Jay Shetty. But he's like, if you're going on a walk, something that you normally do, he's like, try to discover something different that you didn't notice before.
Yeah.
And do you do anything like that?
I try really hard to quiet the monkey mind on my walks because otherwise I'll just like ruminate and walk and ruminate and walk and ruminate. But I try to really like get in my body, get in the moment and be like look up at the sky or like look at a stump covered in moss and like just take that stuff in. Yeah. That's usually really helpful.
Yeah.
It sounds so cheesy. But...
No, it's not. I think, I have, in a lot of the like coaching and stuff that I do with actors, I'll do an exercise where it's like, what's something that brings you joy? And, long story short, and asking a bunch of questions, we usually discover that like we're not doing things that make us happy very often.
Oh,
But one that comes up a lot is like go on a hike or like go on a hike with my dog or something like that. And it's like, oh, when was the last time you did that? And you're like, I don't know. And it's like, maybe do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think a lot of people enjoy that. I think there is something special about that because I don't know anyone. Well, I'm sure there are people out there, but I don't know too many people that are like hike. No. Walk in nature. Hate it.
Hate it.
So I don't think it's cheesy at all.
Okay, good.
All right. Question 4. What's something you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
God, how long do you have? I'm trying to improve a lot of things. I'm mostly just trying to work on myself as a person. Like, I know that's very broad, but like, I'm one of those people who loves to read about psychology, and I get newsletters from all different types of people about, wellness and mental health and things like that. So I'm always just trying to be better and more aware of my behavior and my thinking and just calming the F down because it's so easy to get caught in the spiral.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that helps with that is changing your perspective sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, right now there's this perspective of just like what you look like to me right now. And it's just, I'm seeing you, it's my perspective, right? But I could jump out and take a version of me, put myself behind the camera that's looking at both of us. And then I'm able to say, oh, what am I doing that is maybe making her feel more comfortable or maybe even offending her?
Right.
How am I in this, right?
Yeah.
Then there's like, anyway, so you can take this perspective all the way out to like a global perspective, right? And that's when you should be looking at your problems or looking at the things that are stressing you out, because you're just like, who the hell cares in the grand scheme of it?
I love a global perspective. I love a like space perspective.
Yes.
Like it actually calms me down to think of myself as this tiny little microorganism on this planet. Because it makes everything not feel so intense all the time and so important all the time. So when I can take like a macro look at my life like that, it's really helpful. But so just calm down, girl.
Yeah, exactly. Well, last question. We've gone over a lot of cool stuff with this, but if you wanted the audience to get one thing for sure, what would it be?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You can do it. You're an artist. You have the capability to tell stories. Show them what you got.
I love it. Hallie, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for being here, tuning in all the way to the end. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so. Also, if this podcast is serving your actor journey in a fantastic way, please leave us a review. That really helps the podcast out. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'm sure there's somebody in your actor life tribe that could benefit from this. Why don't you go ahead and share it with them right now? Send it their way. So thank you for being here again. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. I'm Jesse Malinowski. See you soon.